It's Spoilerin time, ladies and gentlemen. On today's show, we're going to spoil episode 4 of season 1 of Justified, the finale of The Expanse, which is episodes 9 and 10 of season 1, and F is for Family, season 1 on Netflix. But first, Brian Brushwood, shall we check in on the movie draft?
Indeed we shall! All right, we're coasting into a fairly predictable ending to this. It's looking like I, despite my best efforts, am going to lose. Here's what I tried to explain this to Bonnie because she was like, "How? I don't understand. How are you losing? Star Wars broke all the records. It did better than you dared hope." And I was like, "Yeah, but Tom did even better." And she's like, "Yeah, but no. How could he? Because there's no way he could do better." And I'm pretty sure this is a factual statement I'm making, Tom. I believe that at number 2, I believe The Force Awakens at 75% would have been the highest grossing slate in the history of the winter movie draft, except this year I'm being defeated by you, who at $713 million have shattered all records. You have the highest grossing winter movie draft slate of all time.
Wow, is that true?
I think it is. People could go back and double check my work.
That's ridiculous.
And part of that, and understand, part of it is everybody rolling their eyes as if it should be obvious, like, well, you shouldn't have given up 25%. Any other year, I should have given up 35%.
Now that you know how much it grossed,
yeah,
it's very easy to say, well, you should have done 80%. But
any other year, I should have given up even more. I shouldn't have stopped at 25%, right? But instead, so the story is less about Star Wars underperforming or Brian giving up too much, but the story really is Tom shattered all-time records.
3 million a day for the next 11 days will get you close to me.
Think of it this way, Tom. You are just shy of being on the front page, the top 50 of the chat realm pickers. Your slate...
Just Movie League Mike is up there in the top.
Yes, of course.
He's still way ahead.
All right, stop talking about him. He's dead to me. But the important thing is that like your pick is supernaturally good, Tom. It was really, really good.
What I did was thought, okay, if I don't go for Star Wars, how could I possibly beat Star Wars? And I just did math and said, well, then I would need, and I got lucky with the estimates, but I did the math and said, well, if I spent this much per show and amassed this many bargains, it should total the amount that I need. And it might not have worked if the math hadn't worked out. It might not have worked if my estimates had been too far off. And my estimates were off in a lot of things. I thought Gem and the Holograms would get, 3 million, not 2 million. But it did end up being close enough, and enough other, things overperformed to balance out the underperformers that it worked out, at least so far. I'm still not ready to crown myself, because you're just close enough that something weird could happen.
Look, I will do you the honor of trying.
Wait till it's over.
All right.
If I know anything about sports, it's bad luck to declare yourself the winner before the game's over.
Am I right in seeing this? How many movies do we have in the draft? Is it 30 every time?
I think it's something like that. Yeah.
Okay, because I'm pretty sure you might have the best and the worst picks in the draft. Both the best and the worst.
Oh, that's funny.
I would love to verify if this is true or not. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Scout's
Steve
Guide
Jobs.
to the Zombie Apocalypse. Ibit paid $17 for. Sorry. No, yeah, that was ridiculous. He paid $17 for something that made $3.7 million.
That's crazy. It's
Never
crazy.
mind.
And the number 2 is still Krampus.
Oh,
per dollar spent.
Amazing. Man, what a wild ride. And as Ken from Chicago in the chat says, Brian didn't lose. All the movie drafters win because it shows there's no guaranteed winner.
Exactly.
I agree.
That is absolutely correct. All right, let's get into spoiling with F is for Family. I haven't seen this yet, but I'm willing to be spoiled by you. And I know, Bryce, you've seen it, right?
Yeah, I watched a couple of episodes. So I guess I had a couple of questions for you, Brian.
Sure thing.
Because I got about I think 3 episodes in. I got to the airport episode where he takes the son in. How does that show evolve?
Can I predict your question?
Sure.
Is your question, does the show does it ever get funny?
Oh no! Is the answer to that no?
I don't think it ever really gets funny.
Oh, wow.
I think it trades very heavily on if you're old enough to remember what the 70s looked like, or what it or what it was like to grow up in a time. And maybe this is a millennial thing, I don't know. But it's like there was a time when it was kids versus grown-ups, and kids had their own world, and there was filthy language at all times, and one of the things that I like about the show, I mean, to be honest, this show is less of a comedy and more of a therapy session. It's him just showing with stark contrast what he remembers childhood being, and it was an abusive world of bullies. There was nobody. There was no recourse. There was no internet to tell you the right way to handle things. You believe things because you were told them, and that was that. And kids had filthy potty mouths. I mean, my kids don't even want to hear curse words. They're like,
Right.
Dad, don't curse. And it's like they're better people than me because we live in this enlightened age. You know, everything from running across skin mags in the forest to the disgust you feel when you went to a public bathroom and you ran across a grown man crapping. All of these things really resonated with me. None of them I thought were particularly funny. None of the characters were particularly likable. It was like this ongoing train wreck of the horrific things it meant to be growing up in the 70s and early 80s. And
Did you ever watch that 70s show?
yeah.
Could you find a comparison between those two? Because that 70s show was probably aiming to be more funny, more comedy than what it sounds like you're getting is more...
That 70s show was overly concerned, if you compare the two side by side, that 70s show was overly concerned with the trappings of the physical trappings, the brand trappings. That's something you'll notice that they don't take the bait on F is for Family. It would have been a very easy thing for them to make all of the jokes. Remember this brand, remember that brand. But instead they do something much smarter. They don't call it Tupperware. They call it Plastaware. They don't, because they want to evoke something that brings the feeling of that time. You know, it's like, you know, same with all of the television shows, the insane amount of violence, like looking back on it, the stuff that they got away with on national broadcast television in prime time with, you know, and we've talked about it on Night Attack before, everything from simulated fellatio on popsicles to, you know, to brutal slaughterings and so on. It was a strange trip, and I want to go back, but for the life of me, I don't know why. None of the characters are likable. They're all broken, and there appears to be no arc. It's as though somebody just pressed record on Bill Burr's therapy sessions, and now we're watching a show made around it.
So if you look at the other Netflix sort of adult cartoon, BoJack Horseman, which starts off kind of week by week and then slowly turns into this serialized, almost darker piece, does F is for Family get out of that that sort of episode of the week thing? Does it serialize itself?
The mere fact that you think that means that you haven't watched enough, because it's very clear. It starts in August and it ends in December.
Okay,
like,
so there's
like
a real line that
it
goes
is
through.
one show per month over that entire arc, the entire time through. And I could see why you would think that watching the first couple of 2 or 3 episodes. Yeah. But it is a very specific slice, and I got to be honest, seeing how everything ends with the season does have me hungry to be like, well, I wonder, you know, I don't like any of them, but I do wonder what happens. It's
kind of like growing up in a family in the 70s.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, so last thing I guess I have is so you don't really have much of affection for any of the characters. Are the stories, or the messages that you're getting out of them, are they resonating with you? And is that what's resonating with you?
Yeah,
is that
no. It's a lot of, and forgive me, I'm going to use, you know, coarse language here, but it's a lot of you watch kids curse and kick each other in the nuts, and then some part of you just remembers to be an 8-year-old and like, oh shit, we did talk that way. We were filthy and brutal and cruel and bad, and in a way that and maybe maybe I'm experiencing the reverse of every generation of parents before me, but in a way that I don't believe the children of today are. I think that they take out their hostilities on internet forums instead of actually punching each other.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's fascinating. Like I wonder if you watched more of it, if you would be horrified.
I would have expected none of your responses, honestly.
Oh, interesting.
I was thinking going into this that you would be like, well, it's kind of like a raunchy King of the Hill, or it's a little shallower than, say, a BoJack Horseman, and it's more like a traditional network cartoon.
Yeah, I don't know. It touches on some really interesting themes. I think BoJack Horseman has a lot more heart than this has, but this has so much more authentic anger and horror. Like you could tell that the writers are still horrified by their own childhoods, and with just cause. When you watch it, when you see the casual drinking and driving and smoking and cursing and anyway, it's amazing.
It reminds me of the Bad News Bears.
Yes,
the way you're describing it.
exactly. If you watch the Bad News Bears now, you're like, holy crap, how is this a thing? This was a thing. Understand, there was a universe that Tom and I grew up in where the Bad News Bears was family fare. And in that weird, twisted, sideways universe, this is what it was like to grow up as a kid.
Wow.
Yeah.
Right.
My mom was like, this is a little raunchy. And my dad like, oh, it's fine. About Bad News Bears.
Yeah. Watching, physical violence towards women, drinking, smoking, minors.
Uncomfortable sexualization of kids at age 12.
Possible is certain sexual harassment, possible rape,
All right, well, great.
Different time. Right. Let's go forward in time to The Expanse. Episodes 109 and 110. I guess when they originally laid this out, they ordered 10 episodes and then decided to air the last two as a spectacular season finale, just in case it didn't do that well. I don't know if that's why, but we definitely got 2 back-to-back episodes, the last of which is named Leviathan Wakes, the name of the book, although I will tell you, we haven't covered all of the pieces of the book yet. And I'm curious, Brian, what you thought of these last 2 episodes.
I enjoyed them immensely. It was a very good twist. I felt like, to their credit, they did a good job of creating a high stakes situation. When like you felt the horror when Holden said, "We just got a megadose of hard radiation." And he's like, "Well, how much?" And he's like, "We're dead. We're literally dead. We have 2 hours to live." And then they softened it. They do a good job of pulling it back. They're like, well, I don't know. I mean, if we make it to the ship, I guess there might be some meds that'll let us live. Let's take all the drugs we can find to get from point A to point B. But still, Bonnie spent both of those episodes saying like, can't believe they're going to let him die. These two I really like these 2 characters. I can't believe they're going to let him die. And then when they got there and she's like, well, so they're going to be okay? I was like, I'm pretty sure they're going to be okay. But it was delightful for them to set that up. I could have done with a little less of the wandering around in the tunnels subplot. That was just a little bit laggy for me. I understand that was important that they set up, there was 2 parallel groups of people both trying to reach the same place at the same time, but it was very clear who the real stars of these 2 episodes were. I did enjoy the Earth moments. I enjoy, and I know you Tom, have concerns that it won't be as exciting as the space scenes, but I got to tell you, the political intrigue has some pull for me, and I think that I still can't remember her name, but I think
Christian Avasarala.
There you go, Christian. I think she is a fascinating, enigmatic, strong character, and I keep coming. Every time she's on, I think she just chews up the scene.
Oh, she's a great actress, no doubt about that. And the character doesn't come until the next book, and so it fulfills a need, because in Leviathan Wakes, the book, you're wondering, like, but who are all these people behind all of this political action? And then you get the reveal of, like, here, let's meet one. And guess what? She's a tough old broad, 3rd in line to the UN Secretary General, and doesn't take no shit. And so I was worried that, well, if we meet her right now, that kind of just gives that all away. But I think I'm intrigued more by the story they're telling, because they're telling me about her in a way that I didn't experience in the books. And so I'm really enjoying more of these insights into how things work on Earth, and knowing what I know about the way the books went, and I don't know if they're going to go the same way in the TV show, the big revelations will not suffer from having known her. In fact, they will definitely benefit because you as a TV viewer will say, okay, well, I know Miller and I know Holden and I know Anderson station guy and I know Christian Avasarala, even if I can't remember all their names. And those are the four people you really need to know.
I'll tell you what, I'll tell you who I know better now than ever before is Amos, man. That dude is black and white. He is a faithful bulldog, and he does what needs to be done. It is amazing.
Amos, they've done with Amos something so much faster than they do in the books. Amos started out in the books as like, well, that's an interesting take on Jane from Firefly.
Right.
And then over the course of the books, you learn so much more about him that he has become close to my favorite character. And they are doing that for me in the TV show. Like, I'm like, oh my God, we're getting to meet Amos already. We're getting to see what's up with him. Like, he is an incredibly complex and interesting character who has his own internal logic that is not going to fit with yours, but makes sense. And as long as you know how to play by his rules, you'll be fine.
So speaking of the book, I want to put out a little public service announcement. I woke up this morning and Audible.com, and we're not getting paid by Audible, not on this, has done a brilliant promotion where they picked 150 different first books in a series. And the first book in a series is only $4.95. And I was scrolling through it and I saw Leviathan Wakes by James S.A. Corey. And I was like, well, crap, now I got to jump in, especially since, so you're telling me I've watched enough now with these first 10 episodes that I can dive into the book and feel like I'm going to get most of that same experience in a book format and without ruining
for sure.
a lot.
It'll be a different take on these characters. And if you finish the book, you'll get some spoilers on season 2.
By the way, if you want to sign up for Audible, go to audible.com/scam. That's the new Modern Rogue thing.
Oh, okay.
So now I am being paid by it. I wasn't until just then. Now I am.
Go do that. Pretend this was Scam School. It's a great book, and I couldn't be more pleased. I felt like they finished on a strong note. I wasn't worried, but I was wondering how well that race through series was going to pay off. Wait, Eros, right?
Sorry. Yeah, Eros. Can we talk about how great the direction and acting is to make you genuinely afraid of whatever this infection virus thing is? Starting with watching the lovely whatever her name is, like having the crystals coming out of her eye and mouth, and the perfectly placed infections where her naked body. We're watching sci-fi. We're watching brains get blown out and naked diseased bodies dying live on television on the Sci-Fi Channel. It's a far cry from Sharknado.
Well, yeah, Juliette Mao's takeover by the proto-molecule is what you're describing, and it was pretty close to what I imagined. The fear you get as you discover that proto-molecule is infecting on purpose the people on that asteroid is exactly the way I felt. Like, there were parts where I was like, wait, is this what I imagined? Like, this is exactly like, did they know what I was imagining? Like, was it described like this in the book? Like, it was picture for picture, at least in my head. So well done.
Yeah. And keep in mind, also part of that is the exquisite acting. Part of it is the amazing direction on there. But Miller, I thought, really sold the fact that he was dying of radiation sickness. Like those grim moments of just blood coming out and him, puking. Oh, it was visceral and compelling and electric.
All right, let's move on to Justified, episode 4, season 1, Long in the Tooth. Ha ha, because it's about a dentist who gets a little angry and takes back a filling from a jerk guy in Los Angeles. And at first, when I saw this episode, I thought, oh, the budget was low, so they needed to set an episode in Los Angeles.
Yeah, as I watched them ostensibly halfway to Mexico, I was like, I think that might have been where we shot parts of Hacking the System. Like, that might be the same ranch where that happened.
But all that aside, it's a little unbelievable that Raylan would be called out to Los Angeles, but okay. He also has shot a few more people, and they seem to be starting to go, oh, that Raylan's always shooting and killing people. Oh, well. But that aside, I'm still enraptured by his patter, and what a great little mini Western. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was dead simple, Loved seeing Cameron Fry still doing his
Yes.
thing. Wonder what Ferris Bueller's up to these days. It was very, very simple and very, very direct. And I don't know that it did anything to grow. It felt very procedural. However, the moment it was over, I reached over to hit play next, and I was like, "Oh no, I've got to wait for Tom." Okay.
Well, you don't have to, but
Well, I mean, that's our game. But at this point, I feel
I'm definitely enjoying it despite myself. Put it that way.
yeah, I'm definitely feeling its hooks getting into me, and I feel like it's gonna. I wouldn't blame us if we went to 2 a week down the road, and
Again, it's all about timing, right?
Yeah.
Like I want to keep myself to 1 a week so that we don't get out of kilter. Because on weeks that I can watch 2, you can, or vice versa. But yeah, it is good enough to want to watch more per week. I'll give you that. And side note, watching it on the Amazon app, I do really like the X-ray feature. That when I was like, hey, I think that's Cameron from Ferris Bueller's Day Off, and I just tap the screen and it pops up. Here are the actresses and here are the actors and what they're known for, and it was really nice not having to look up IMDb.
Awesome. Well, thank you to everyone who suggested we watch Justified. So far, we're enjoying it. We'll keep you posted.
Will do. And thank you, everybody, for watching Spoilerin Time. As we said on Cordkillers, we know we haven't watched more Mad Dogs. We know we didn't finish talking about Man in the High Castle. Brian, I don't think we could keep up for 4 TV shows a week and still watch the things that both of us want to watch. Because while we have overlapping interests, there's things that I want to watch that you don't, and vice versa.
By God, we'll do our best, though. And
We will. But just don't think we're ignoring you if we don't do that.
Tom, we have almost 2,000 bosses to please. We have to make this happen.
All right. Thanks, everybody, for watching. We'll see you next time.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.